Hello, I'm Dango Rose. Welcome to the Mountaineer Podcast, where everybody's listening. The Mountaineer brings you the latest news of the Peak to Peak region, in print, online, through our podcast, social media, and special publications. Now, listen in to the latest news of the area with our local journalists.
Hello there, everybody. My name is Jamie Lammers, and welcome to the Mountaineer Podcast. Today, I am finally bringing you part 3 of the article series involving the history of our mines, written and read by Christopher Kelley. Before we transition into the article, if you haven't subscribed to the Mountaineer yet, and you want to support local news from peak to peak, then be sure to head to the mtnear.com and click on the subscribe button in the top right corner of our homepage. From there, you'll get full access to our digital archives and scanned copies of our physical newspaper. And you can choose to send a physical subscription to your mailbox or to the mailbox of someone that you love. Let us know if you're interested in being involved in the newspaper or the podcast in any way, shape, or form by contacting info@themountaineer.com to reach our editor-in-chief, Barbara Hardt, media@themountaineer.com to contact myself, or frontdesk@themountaineer.com to contact our main department. You can also head to the mtnear.com/advertise to learn what advertising packages are available. And finally, our top story today, which is a repeat of yesterday's top story, this time brought to you by Brittany Wagner.
Our top story today comes from Christopher Kelley. Fire ravages businesses in Ned area. At some time between 3:30 and 4 a.m. on Thursday, October 9th, 2025, a fire broke out at the Caribou Village Shopping Center. The cause of the fire as of yet unknown, though it quickly spread throughout the entire center, affecting all businesses within. Nederland Fire Protection District and other nearby response agencies assisted in containing the fire and protecting nearby buildings, including the market and the Carousel of Happiness. An emergency evacuation order was placed by Boulder County Sheriff's Office for parts of Nederland east of the fire. The fire was mostly contained, but still smoldering as of 6:30 a.m.
Thank you, Brittany, for bringing us our top story. Let's transition to Christopher Kelley to hear him read his article, The Mines, Part 3, ARCG Meets Nederland. This article was originally published in the Thursday, September 11th, 2025 edition of The Mountaineer.
The reality is, mining is essential, but it is how you go about doing it that makes a difference. Tawana Bain, CEO and chairwoman of American Clean Resources Group, ACRG, said to the Nederland community during a meet and greet event at the Caribou Room on April 8th, 2025. And we're not going to be perfect, but we have an opportunity to do something pretty amazing. And the feedback, whether good or bad, is going to help us shape into doing that. The last 150 years of the Caribou and Cross mines leads us to this moment in time when the story of its operations becomes more complex, with new threads of complications branching out like mineral veins, becoming harder to map.
Cease and desist.
The cease and desist order levied against Grand Island Resources, the owner and operator of the mines, was a major contributing factor to the diminishing of GIR's workforce, resulting in a loss of more than 40 employees. Over the course of the 2023 holiday season, not only were workers from the mines losing their jobs, they were also learning that their leases with local property owners were being abruptly terminated. Permission to take from this document is given if it is printed in its entirety. Due to the reduction in our current workforce, Nederland Mining Consultants Incorporated is giving back some of our properties that were leased to provide housing for our employees and contractors over the last few years. Richard Matash, Vice President of the Nederland Mining Consultants, provided this official statement to the Mountaineer. NMC is the tenant under the lease and will remain on some leases to preserve our option for the future when we resume regular operations. We are working with state regulators and, in part of our commitment to the community, we have installed a new water treatment system that exceeded all state and federal water quality standards. We look forward to working with community businesses and residents moving forward. On Monday, January 9th, 2024, the remaining residents at 110 North Jefferson Street where NMC was leasing 5 units, had until the end of the day to completely vacate. The apartments were already being advertised on social media. On January 17, 2025, the cease and desist order was lifted, marking the start of the 180-day period for GIR to submit their new application for designated mining operation status. The application was submitted on February 6, 2025, once the Colorado Division of Reclamation, Mining, and Safety deemed the application complete for the purposes of filing. The 20-day period of public notice and comment began, with the official public notice first posted and published on February 20th, 2025.
The Ned response.
On March 4th, 2025, the BOT began discussing their own official statement to be made to the DRMS regarding the town's official position on the Cross Mines' DMO application, making Nederland a party of interest to take part in an as-of-yet unscheduled public hearing. The Sustainability Advisory Board did a lot of work directly with town staff and indirectly with the BOT, Nederland Mayor Billy Giblin said in an interview with the Mountaineer. And we talked with Boulder County and the City of Boulder, and through that process we came out with a series of questions. Nederland's official list of questions and concerns regarding operations being conducted at the mines involved environmental safety, wildlife protection, various economic factors, heavy traffic issues on Caribou Road, and noise pollution potentially affecting nearby residents. Also, just clarification on the expansion from 9.9 acres to 205 acres, Giblin said. GIR's lengthy DMO application, which the DRMS had stated was complex, left trustees with several unanswered questions pertaining to the proposed increase of Cross Mines' permit area from 9.99 acres to 205.7 acres. Town staff and the BOT hypothesized that the expansion plans would include the possible creation of a new processing mill. Though there are no formal plans for a new mill within the DMO application, GIR does state their intention to create a mining operation to last the next 50 years. Nederland's approach was not to directly oppose the DMO application, but to state concerns about the potential impact to water resources, public health, and community welfare. Right now, we're neutral on the reopening of the mine, Giblin said. We feel like good questions need to be asked for any operator going through this process. From an economic benefit, mining can be a viable industry for any community, if done right, with good stewards at the helm and taking into consideration safety and environmental impact, Giblin noted.
The Hendricks petition.
During this time of public comment, the daughter of revered local miner Tom Hendricks, Maggie May Hendricks, launched a social media campaign and petition in opposition to GIR's plans for the Cross Mine, which to date has garnered up to 1,584 signatures. Maggie Hendricks's petition through change.org reads, "My father ran this operation for 50 years. It was more than his livelihood. It was his passion, a labor of love through which he demonstrated his profound commitment to the environment. I intend to carry on his legacy by standing against the proposed reopening and 200-acre expansion." The campaign soon garnered local and statewide attention, with many in the small community stirred by Maggie's stories about her father's passion for his career and his respect for nature.
The PR press.
Due to this attention, those at GIR and at ACRG, the latest entity seeking to take control of the Caribou and Cross Mines, decided to organize the meet and greet public relations event at the Caribou Room, to be led by ACRG CEO Tawana Bain. "We acknowledge and appreciate the foundation laid by Tom Hendricks and his years of dedication," Bain wrote in a letter to the editor published in the Mountaineer on April 5th, 2025. "As we usher in this new chapter, we kindly ask for the same willingness to engage in open, respectful conversation with our team as we work to earn your trust and move forward together." The letter, which served as Bain's introduction to the community and formal invitation to the meet and greet, listed responses to many questions, accusations, and alleged misinformation concerning GIR's standing as an American company, the implications of the requested expansion of their permit area, and the accusation that GIR harmed Nederland's drinking water. Despite the attempts in Bain's letter to address the lack of trust that the people of Nederland have in regards to GIR, the presence of Boulder County Sheriff Office deputies at the meet and greet event only served to further separate the two entities. A report of threats being made against ACRG and GIR personnel almost resulted in the cancellation of the event. However, Bain and her team decided that would be an unpopular decision optically, and instead chose to have the police presence and to continue with the event as scheduled.
The meet and greet.
Bain began the presentation portion of the event by thanking Maggie Hendricks for causing her to begin ACRG and GIR's community outreach plan a year earlier than scheduled. As a woman who's broken barriers, I'm not mad for her voicing her opinion, Bain said. I believe in women fighting for what they believe in, and, whether or not she has all the facts, I cannot be mad at that. Bain was joined on the stage by others on the Caribou and Cross Mines team, from legal experts to technical writers, including Ben Langenfield, John Henderson, and Riley McAllister. Other mining personnel, including Jean-Paul Brewer, mine manager and director of operations for NMC, sat in the audience. While addressing how ACRG is committed to, quote-unquote, cleaning America while rebuilding America, those on stage also wanted to drive home the assertion that the request for expanded acreage did not mean an expansion of mining operations. We're not increasing the size or the scope of this mine, Langenfeld assured the crowd. Langenfeld's previous professional experience with DRMS helped to earn him a spot on GIR's team drafting the DMO application. We're wrapping our arms around everything that we're responsible for so that from here on out, it's one manageable operation for us and for the state of Colorado. The question and answer portion of the event truly highlighted the community's passion, while also giving the ACRG GIR representatives a chance to address some major issues hanging in the balance. Is a mill being built? How much regulation is required in order to resume operations? What actual metals are being mined? What about the federal deregulating of major environmental agencies? Is the Mine Safety and Health Administration at risk of being defunded? One resident of the impacted area asked about the potential of increased traffic on Caribou Road and of increased noise pollution from the supposed new on-site mill. The industry has learned how to live with quiet communities, Langenfeld answered, specifying how the mill site will be designed for sound dampening and also how a mill will help to reduce heavy vehicle traffic on Caribou Road. The more things we can do internally within our existing footprint, the less things we have to send out and add impact to our roads. Another resident asked about ACRG's buy-in for the mines and about Bain's personal relationship with Alfred F. Garriotz II, the current president of Pure Path Capital Group, who has been previously involved with GIR and NMC. Bain answered that, though ACRG entered into the initial agreement phase in 2022, the purchase had yet to be finalized, and, in relation to Garriotz, Bain said, "He's my other half. He is asked to have the woman in his life be in charge. One thing that I will say is that I have a lot of respect for a man that says, you can do a better job than I can." Garriotz's decision was well advised, as Bain has an impressive career record in marketing strategy, technical writing, back office administration, and community engagement, as well as environmental concerns such as river restoration. With entrepreneurship running in her family, Bain followed suit and is not only the CEO of ACRG, but is the founder of the socially conscious brand T. Bain & Company and owner of Today's Women magazine. To the question of what Nederland can expect to get in return for ACRG GIR's 200-acre expansion, Bain discussed GIR's supposed $20 million in investments in the community, from overseeing the Caribou Cemetery to sponsoring Frozen Dead Guy Days.
The Bain interview.
Bain clarified her response in an interview with the Mountaineer. The $20 million impact really comes from being an employer. The investments that we made by securing contracts for various vendors, the contractors that we hired to work in and around the mine, the workforce that we invested in and put to work. In addition, the amount of funding that we were spending on housing, Bain continued, it was dollars that were used to operate the business that went directly back to the city's bottom line. The downsizing of GIR's workforce was lamented, and Bain explained how GIR's loss was Nederland's loss as well. I think back to before we had the cease and desist and how large our workforce was and how we were supporting the small business community, and it was really disappointing to see people lose their jobs. It was disappointing the small businesses that suffered because they didn't have the patronage that was there. There was also a long line of questioning regarding the general mistrust from the community, as well as the culture of silence due to fear of retribution that GIR perpetrated when it threatened to sue the town of Nederland for $500 million. Bain addressed the misinformation that sparked the threat of a lawsuit, that the exceedances affected Nederland's drinking water when it was aquatic life standards that was affected. Both Nederland and the city of Boulder remain wary of operations resuming at the Caribou and Cross mines due to the perceived threat to Coon Track Creek and Barker Reservoir. The only way to establish trust is to have the tough conversations and get on the same page, Bain said, before reiterating that, due to the spread of falsehoods causing complications for GIR, they were in their right to sue and attempt to recoup those damages.
The Hendricks interview.
Though Maggie Hendricks was unable to attend the meet and greet, she came prepared for an interview with the Mountaineer, having spent the time to pore over every inch of the DMO permit application and to narrow down her talking points, as there was much more of the Caribou and Cross mine story still to unravel. While trying to connect the dots of all the related LLCs, from ACRG to GIR to NMC, and tracking the lawsuits involving Bain, Garriotts, and Matash, as well as the orders from the Securities and Exchange Commission, there is still the matter of the 124 issues within the DMO application that were highlighted from DRMS's initial review and how GIR chose to respond to them. I think it's really interesting that GIR continuously says that everyone in Nederland is misinformed, because I don't think they realize how informed people actually are, Hendricks said. And if they're calling people misinformed, then they are calling DRMS misinformed as well, because that's where people are getting their information from.
To hear the full audio transcript of the April 8th, 2025 meet and greet event at the Caribou Room, be sure to check out a previous episode of the Mountain Ear podcast. The episode was uploaded the day after the meet and greet and contains the full audio recording of the meeting. Thank you so much, Chris, for reading part 3 of your Great Minds series. Chris will be back very soon to bring you part 4. In the meantime, if you want to share this episode or others around with whoever you see fit, be sure to scroll down to Mountain Ear Media or head to our podcast's main hub at the mtnearpodcast.buzzsprout.com for a full archive of all of our episodes. Again, let us know if you're interested in being involved in the paper or the podcast by reaching out to info@themountaineer.com, media@themountaineer.com, and or frontdesk@themountaineer.com. And finally, if you scroll down to Mountain Ear Media, not only will you be able to find our podcast, but you'll also be able to find our Facebook and our YouTube channel. You can head to mtn.ear to follow us on Instagram. And if you go to our homepage, you can also submit events to our events calendar, where you can let us know what events are coming to your venue or to the community. I'll see you guys next time. Have a great rest of your day.
And that's it for our show. Subscribe online to get more access to more news, weekly updates to our community calendar, and a link to our YouTube channel by visiting themountaineer.com. Be sure to use the coupon code PODCAST when subscribing for a 10% discount, only available to our listeners. If you are in the local peak-to-peak area, be sure to pick up a print edition of The Mountaineer at a local business. I'm Dango Rose. Thank you for listening.